In this week's video, I want to talk about a button that's found on the back of most cameras and how we can use it to take even better photos. Welcome to the Photo Genius channel. Hi, Paul here from Photo Genius. Welcome to my channel where I post regular photography tutorials, all designed to help you get more from your digital camera so you can take better photos. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Now in this week's video, we're taking a look at a button that's found on the back of most cameras. Typically this button is marked with the letters AEL, but sometimes if you're using a camera like this Canon camera, then the button is marked with a star icon. Now occasionally you may also see that the button is marked AEL and AFL. Now this simply means that one button can serve two purposes and change two camera functions. AEL is auto exposure lock, AFL is auto focus lock. This also covers a feature called back button focusing, and I'm going to be covering that in a new video that's coming up in a few weeks' time. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you don't want to miss out on that one. Now the first thing I recommend is to get your camera out of auto, because the auto mode doesn't allow you to take advantage of functions like the auto exposure lock button. So I recommend using one of the semi-manual modes. Now these are Aperture Priority, Shutter Priority and the Program mode. In this video I'm going to be using the Aperture Priority mode. This is A or AV on the camera's mode dial. Auto exposure lock simply means that if we press the button we can lock the exposure. But what exactly does that mean? Why would we want to lock the exposure, and how can we use it to improve our photos? Let me show you. For this quick demonstration I'm using a Canon camera. You will see that I've selected ISO 200, which is usually my default ISO. I've also selected an aperture of f8. Now because the camera is in the aperture priority mode, it means that I select the aperture and the camera will look after the shutter speed for me. Now what you'll see as I move the camera is the exposure will change. This is because the camera is adjusting the exposure to compensate for the changes in light, and it's doing this by adjusting the shutter speed. Now what I want to do is to lock the exposure. So when I find an exposure I like, I simply press the exposure lock button, and now you will see the exposure remains constant no matter how much I move the camera. So now I can concentrate on my composition and taking the shot. Now most metering systems will give priority to the light found in the middle of the frame, but of course sometimes for reasons of composition you may not want your key subject or point of interest to be in the middle of the frame, for example when following the rule of thirds. So I really hope you've enjoyed this week's video all about auto exposure lock, which is a really useful camera function. Don't forget that video about back button focus is coming up real soon, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Of course, if it's already out, I'll put a link just here. Now if you want to help me by supporting the channel, one of the easiest things you can do is to give this video a thumbs up. It just helps the videos get noticed. That helps the channel grow, and I really appreciate your support. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Thanks for watching. See ya.